The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mike, good afternoon. We're open line on Mannin Line today through till 1. The floor's yours. You're on the air by calling 66 1368. You can also message in WhatsApp 166 177, message 166 177, SMS that is, or email studio@manxradio.com. So did you hear Rob Callister yesterday talking about the future for the art? Not enough opportunities, he said. Not enough opportunities, not enough jobs, not enough houses. So how do we go from here? What do we do about this? If you've got anything to follow up on what we heard yesterday, by all means call 66 1368, and lots of messages that I didn't get through yesterday regarding Mr. Callister, and we'll get to those later. First of all, Robert's on. Hi, Robert.
Hi, how's it going? I'm just down at Noah's Bakehouse, so I've had my coffee. How are you?
Well, very well, thanks for the update.
Okay, well, the update at the moment is that Sama has bitten is it the red pill or the blue pill? I can't remember now. But he's gone down the rabbit hole with AI. Is that true? I believe so. You should be able to see it on the BBC screen.
Starmer. Who's Starmer, by the way?
Starmer's the MP, the PM for UK.
Oh, the UK. Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Heard about him,
But
yeah.
I mean, it's coming over here. Well, we're only 2 years behind, you know, in terms of governmental thinking, so I wouldn't knock it, to be honest with you.
Well, you never know, do you? I mean, there could be another election over there.
You think so?
Well, who knows?
Well, okay, well, it's a bit dismissive, but I'll carry on.
Do you think AI is coming then?
I think AI is massively coming, and I think as soon as the governor finds out, with the unions going to the governor to say, look, you're getting rid of all of these jobs, and, you know, there's accounting jobs that could be done by AI, it's financial jobs, it's lawyers' jobs, and things like that. I know, is there something wrong?
No, I think AI is already here, though, isn't it? It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know, but there's a kind of Daniel Blake aspect about it, and the humanness is going to be lost. So in effect, it's not who you know anymore. It's not who you know anymore. You know, that old phrase.
Well, they reckon that the AI will take away accountants' jobs. That's the first thing that will go, because that'll all happen.
So that's true. Yeah, because it's all numbers, isn't it? So effectively, you know, all the tax things and things like that, people start realising that there's another way of doing it. I understand that, but what happens with the government jobs? Because I don't want to take too much of your time, but in the UK, they're axing all of the management jobs over in the NHS.
Wow. Well, we'll have to see what happens in our own NHS over here with Manx Care and the DHSC.
Well, I think just to come back on you, I think they've taken the albatross pill, because albatross software is AI. It's going to create a lot of unhumanness in the system. I think there's a Daniel Blake aspect to it.
Wow.
And that people are just going to get lost. If you can't type and things like that, then you just get lost in the system.
Well, AI is never going to replace a nurse or a doctor, is it?
Well, it will have aspects to it in terms of someone coming in, using that system and getting all the information first and plugging into it. That could help or it could hinder. It's like Google Doctor, isn't it? Except it's Google Doctor with AI. Think of it.
Wow. I'm due to see the dentist shortly. I'm just trying to think what would happen if there wouldn't be an AI dentist, would there?
I don't think the robots will be doing the surgery, put it that way. I think we're miles off that. I think Japan hasn't developed that yet. But I mean, there's certain secure jobs that will always be there. But in terms of like the NHS management, if you look on Isle of Man politics at the moment, it's gone ballistic, because they're replacing all the jobs over in the NHS. And I can imagine that the likes of the people over in government at the moment, who's head of health at the moment?
It's
Claire
Claire Christian. Yeah, she's head of the ministry.
She'll love that. She'll cream cheese that. So she'll get on board with AI, and it'll just wash the system.
Well, if it saves money, Robert, what's wrong with it?
Because it gets rid of jobs, gets rid of frontline staff.
Frontline? You mean frontline as in doctors and nurses and cleaners and people like that, and orderlies?
Gets rid of not frontline staff as in management and things like that.
So it gets rid of management?
Well, it gets rid of a few things. I think the cleaners will be okay, but I mean, in terms of actual...
the ambulance drivers, the paramedics, the nurses, the orderlies, they're all going to be okay. That's frontline, isn't it? They're the people who deal with people
I shouldn't have said frontline. You're right, I shouldn't have said frontline. It's backline staff, isn't it? I'm completely wrong there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's, people who are making the decisions, it'll just be carried out by bots. It's literally health.bot, isn't it?
Well, we'll have to see. All right.
Well, I mean, I hope there's not too many albatross software thinkers up in government, because as soon as the governor finds out that, they're losing all of these jobs and people are going on the dole and all the rest of it, that he won't be happy with it. So I think the unions need to approach that and get their act together and start approaching things properly.
They're probably doing it already, to be quite honest, Robert.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
All right. Good to talk to you today.
Noah's Bakehouse. All right, have a good one.
We appreciate it. Enjoy your cup of coffee. It's 13 minutes past 12. Howard's on now. Hi, Howard.
Hi, Randy. You talked about you going to the dentist. I was talking to my dentist there a little while ago, and they're printing. Is it laser printing of dentures now? You know, the plates.
Oh, 3D printing.
3D printing. That's it. They're 3D printing them. Taking no longer a cast, they take a reading of where it's going to go, and they'll 3D print a plate for you. So just be careful. You might end up like Peter Crouch with the shiny teeth. What I was ringing for, yesterday I went up to Douglas Head, just a particular reason, and the dredger was still working, as you know, but what I did notice was where the light was shining on the water outside the harbour, there was a huge, big, brown pool, shall we say, choice of another word, and that pool was filtering down past Port Skillion and going south as the tide was going out. So obviously that dredger is moving silt and wood, etc.
We saw that, and we can often see the state of the tide, and often if there's been a large storm on the ebb tide, you'll see all the peat going out from the hills. You'll see that, and obviously there hasn't been a storm, so that mud came from obviously within the harbour.
Yeah. So just to keep your listening public up to date, to say that dredger must be doing the job it's intended for.
It's gone now, hasn't it?
I don't know. I should imagine he was only here for a short while. It was an emergency thing. That's what the chap told me. It was get yourself over here, Andy. We've got a problem. But I think they said the next will be up in Scotland somewhere. They're going working up there. They're all over the place, that thing. As I say, there's sleeping accommodation, everything, on their own kitchens and everything. It looks like a little flat barge, but I've seen the plans of it, and she's 3 decks. So it's quite a substantial piece of kit.
Yeah.
But one of us also... correct me if I'm wrong on this, but on your news yesterday, or on your station, it said that the area around the ferry bridge and around that, I should imagine, the blackboards, etc., they're going to close that road so they can check the ability of vehicles and other equipment to be able to transport the blades for the wind turbine.
That's right. The environmental assessments, basically, to see whether or not it can take the weight and take. I mean, heaven knows how they're going to get a turbine blade around blackboards.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it? I've seen some of them on YouTube, and some of the places where they go to, you'd think they'd never be able to do it. But with these modern trucks, etc., with the steerable axles and everything like that, they're extremely manoeuvrable.
But Howard, more to the point, there's a canopy of trees around the ferry bridge.
That's what made me think that they go along with one of these huge saws and just trim it and the tunnel. And I was driving around there the other day and I noticed a lot of those trees. The whole island, essentially, is becoming covered with ivy. It's overtaken the trees. I know a lot of people say it's nesting, etc., shelter for birds, etc., but it seems to be becoming too much. And the trees themselves, nature designed them for the winter to be devoid of leaves, and that took the pressure off the trees and didn't get blown down so often. But now, nature's doing the opposite. It's putting ivy up and covering the trees with leaves all the year round. But that aside, I say, well, how, I know they say an environmental assessment, but this must be, they haven't even put in for planning permission yet, have they, on the EU stain?
No, I don't think so. I think, and at the moment, basically, the survey is going to assess potential impact on bats and trees.
Well, the bats, they want to have a look in the timber chamber first of all, because there's a few of them in there, hanging upside down and blind to what people have to say. But they're jumping the gun here. They're already ordering these things, and they haven't got the planning permission through.
Well, they'll probably say, Howard, that you don't kind of do these things at a week's notice. That they've got to order it beforehand. Of course, I mean it may never happen. Or it may happen. And they're doing what bureaucrats will do, which is prepare.
Parkinson's law, stretching the job to fit the work, and that's what it'll amount to. But who is going to do this? They haven't given any indication whether it's the DOI, God help us, or a company that's going to come from across with all the precise measuring gear. And these blades, if they're as long as what they're talking about, I don't know what size they are going to be awkward to move around, because all the ones I've seen moving around the country in the UK on the various videos, they're going up into the hills of Scotland and places like that where there's no trees. Here, the island is covered in trees at the moment. So
well, you can guarantee that it's either going to be a company from across. It's one of these specialist kind of blade lifting vehicles. So won't be anybody over here unless one of the big companies wants to buy one. But you wouldn't get much use out of it really after putting it together.
But to shut that road for 2 days, and then, as I say, an environmental. But it was just sneaked in the news. But this is again, they're jumping the gun because they haven't fully made their mind up where they're going to do it.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you. I like that canopy of trees by the ferry bridge. It gives it's kind of it's a supernatural feel to it at times.
It does. Well, it always gives you that feeling that you're somewhere different. It's like the one that used to be up there, St. Mark's. Okay, quite a few of those trees have been felled now, but when you drive through there, that tunnel of trees, and they're preserving these tunnels of trees in the UK, and here we are, and threatening to cut them down.
Well, and also the DEFRA have said, we are going to lose a substantial proportion of our trees. They're dying as we speak.
Yes. Well, you only have to look at on the Castletown Road here, and they running up past Full Rose Farm. They've cut a lot of the trees down there that were leaning over the road. Now, is that part of this job that the DEFRA, DOI, electricity people are going to do? And is this the thin end of the wedge where they're just working their way in gradually? And with the shout that trees are getting damaged and we'll have to take them down for safety.
Well, you can guarantee that this isn't going to come for free. Somebody somewhere is going to have to get paid for it.
A lot of money too. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, that's all it was.
Good to hear from you, Howard.
Little rant over.
All right. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thanks for that. Yes, it was reported yesterday morning, I think it was on the breakfast show. Environmental assessments to support turbine blade delivery route is the article. If you go to manxradio.com, click on the news, it's all there. Manx Utilities have announced that survey work will take place at the Ferry Bridge next week, starting Monday, as part of the preparations for wind turbine transportation. DOI has authorised a road closure from Monday to Wednesday, 17th to the 19th. Oh, just after they finish the resurfacing in Santon now, the road's closed at the Ferry Bridge. Manx Utilities and Wardell Armstrong SLR will conduct environmental assessments. A single lane closure with traffic lights remaining in place for an additional 2 days. 20th to 25th, so we're right off next week. The surveys will assess potential impacts on bats and trees along the route, ensuring minimal disruption to protected species, they say. The results will determine whether any pruning is necessary to accommodate the movement of turbine blades using a specialised blade lifting vehicle. Manx Utilities reckon the work's in line with the consultation commitments and aims to balance infrastructure needs with environmental considerations, they say. Well, that's what's going to happen there. So if you're driving between Castletown or the south and Douglas, it's on to the old Castletown Road. Port Sodrick's going to be alive, isn't it, for the next week or so. Alan's on now. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Andy. I went to the Port Erin Commissioners meeting the other night, and I got the impression there that the DOI want to put a 20 mile an hour limit on from the Four Roads roundabout on the main road all the way through Port Erin and all round. Now, if they're doing this all over the place, has anyone taken into account the buses? Because if the buses are going at 20 mile an hour and it's adding a 5 or 6 minutes on, you've got Port Erin, Ballafesson, Colby, Ballabeg, Castletown, Ballasalla. You could be putting 30 to 40 minutes onto the bus route.
What speed do they get up to? More than 30?
Well, they do when they go out of Port Erin, yeah.
Right. Well, I'll be honest with you, nobody's raised this point before, and it's a very pertinent one. So you reckon from Four Roads for the whole of Port Erin?
That's what I got the impression from at the commissioners the other night, and this has come from the DOI. This isn't Port Erin commissioners wanting this. And they were saying there's been no consultation at all.
How do you feel about this?
Well, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, you know how wide the road is from the roundabout coming into Port Erin. And there's already lights there for the school, you know, when the schools are going in and out.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you add every village up going along there, and then you've got Castletown and Ballasalla as well. If you're adding like 5 minutes on to every journey, you're going to be adding like another half hour on to get to Douglas from here.
Well, in that case, that's a question we should put to the buses, just to see whether or not they've factored that in, because they've all got those GPS things, haven't they? They all know exactly where they are, so they'll be able to figure that out. I wonder.
Well, it's going to affect the schools as well.
You bet.
The children getting in and out.
You bet. All right. Okay. Thanks for that, Alan. Good to hear from you.
Okay. Cheers, Andy.
Thanks for that. A couple of messages we didn't get to from the answer phone yesterday on Mannin Line.
I worked for Manx Social Care at the Isle of Man Department of Social Care, and 1 week we were Manx Social Care, and we were sent an email within the next couple of weeks we were going to become Manx Care. It was the same people. The majority of the managers and the majority of the people working there were exactly the same people who had been in social care. Just wanted to say that because Rob Collister's just said they're different people. No, they're not. The majority were the same people, just with a name change. Thanks now. Bye-bye.
Okay, that's a message we got during the programme yesterday. We couldn't get to it, obviously. So if you want to send a message for broadcast, please, can we get it before about 11:30 in the morning? That would be really helpful. But more than happy. And thanks for that. The answer phone is 682-631. Here was another one.
Could you ask Mr. Collister, please, what he's doing about housing that lies empty for years, unoccupied, owned by people off the island who don't live here? Thank you.
Well, did you hear? Thank you, madam. Did you hear what Rob Callister had to say yesterday about? He advocated punitive rates. If people are letting houses deteriorate and affecting the local environment, then basically he was advocating punitive, enormous rates, basically, to compel somebody to do something about a house. And the more it went up, and he's not, taking the roof off and having no rates, didn't cut any ice with Mr. Callister. What do you think about that? Lots of people's, of course, if it affects you, it becomes very important because it's a kind of Addams Family type house that you see all the time when you drive. You know, if you drive along Woodburn Road, probably you're inured to the fact that there's one on the corner by the Robinsons, opposite the Robinsons greengrocers there, which has been empty for years. I think even the pigeons have moved out from inside. And yet nothing seemingly can be done about it. And lots of people hate the sight of it. Some people, it's just neither here nor there to them. But for many people, empty houses, dilapidated houses, ruinous houses in some cases, are a bane on their life. They're an eyesore. So Rob Callister said, punitive rates. Do you think that's the answer? Oh, Juan's on now. Hi, Juan.
Oh, hey, Andy, summer's arrived, has it?
Oh, it's gorgeous here today. It's a beautiful day.
Good, that's good. I don't understand people that buy properties and leave them empty. I don't get that, unless obviously there's wills involved and disputes, which obviously sometimes takes a couple of years to sort out, and properties are left there. But I think that I noticed the other day that there's still 51 or 56 houses empty, which belong to, is it Douglas Corporation and LGB stock?
Well, apparently Douglas Corporation, I don't know, because it's the end of the year now, so we're coming to the end of the financial year. So whether or not Douglas Council have got the budget in place to do the houses up in the new budget, it may be a budgetary thing, it may be a kind of financial year thing, Juan.
Yeah, but I mean, that's been going on for some time, Andy. I mean, 50-odd houses has been stuck around. That number's been stuck around for some time. So, I mean, you mentioned they're waiting for a budget. So, you know, the same applies to people who have bought houses as well. You know, either they're waiting for legality to be sorted out or budget. So, you know, if it's a rule for one, it's a rule for another on that one. The omelette man was quite right there, wasn't he? I mean, the way things are going, I mean, we've got artificial superintelligence about to break through and breaking through on the quantum computer. So Robert's actually got some valid points in what he said.
Well, it's true. Apart from the fact, though, that AI, I mean, we probably don't even realise that AI has been with us for ages. A lot of these, I was talking to a friend in the industry the other day and just said a lot of these online, call centres that you call, the voices you hear are completely artificial. They're artificial intelligence. They're not real people at all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all bots. I mean, everything you go now, it's all bots that you're talking to, which is quite frustrating. I just keep pressing 9 or ask for a human to speak to, and you eventually get someone. So my main point, that's not what I phoned for. My main point, the access zone bill. I'm just looking at Julie Edge's post. She's posted on Alaman Politics and I think Onken Residents and a few others, reminding people that the consultation finishes on Friday. It closes on Friday. And she has got a quick link on there to the consultation page. If anyone is struggling to try and navigate the government page, you can click straight on that. It takes you to the consultation, and I do urge people to kind of look at the consultation. Take 5 minutes out of your time to fill it in. It is an erroneous piece of legislation that's being tried to put through. My point on it, Andy, is who do you think writes the questions for the consultation papers? Do you have any clue on that?
No, I don't know. Presumably, people involved in it.
You would think so. So I've come to number 9 on this. which is the contentious part of this bill, part 3 of the bill. And I'm just going to read this out here, which I find quite interesting. That's why I asked the question of who writes this. Part 3 of the bill includes provisions to create public spaces protection orders that could be used to prevent activities in a public place that have a detrimental effect on the quality of life in that place. Do you think these provisions are clear and fair? So I'm just kind of scratching my head as to who is writing this stuff. Is it behalf of government? I don't know. It's quite an important statement that's made there, really. And part 3 of this bill, as we've said right from the start when we brought this into the public domain, this would have slipped through otherwise, is quite contentious. And as people say, a word that's getting bandied around a lot at the moment, draconian.
Okay. All right. Well, if anybody wants more information, if you go to, I think Julie Edge's Facebook page has got the whole thing on as well. So if you're on Facebook, go to Julie Edge, and the consultation closes, as you say, Sunday the 16th. All right, Joan?
Yeah. Cheers, Andy. Thank you.
Good to hear from you. Stephen's on now. Hi, Stephen.
Good afternoon, Andy, and good afternoon, listeners. I wondered if I could just speak about the big announcement today by the Prime Minister in the UK has been the decision to change how NHS England is operated.
Yeah.
And they talk about the disastrous policies and change that Andrew Rawnsley introduced a number of years ago as being the big problem. And I think that what they're saying is it's a duplication of policies and work and civil servants between NHS England and the Department of Health. So I wonder, will this signal the change on the island? Because a lot of people have been saying, both lay people and very senior people in healthcare, that Manx Care is nothing but a duplication of the operation that the department carries out in any event. And as the Prime Minister of the UK has said, they get an enormous amount of money, but most of it, or not most, but a lot of it, is not spent on healthcare at the front end. It's a lot of bureaucracy, red tape, and form filling. So I wonder, I muse, will anybody else come along? I wonder, will this signal an end to our Manx Care on the island, which has a lot of the same accusations levelled against it?
What's your opinion?
Well, I think that one of the Lords has certainly done an investigation into this issue. It's not just simply a political decision that's been taken to change it. They've looked into how the healthcare bureaucracy side is ran in the UK, and they've concluded that it's not doing what it should have done. And I can only assume that if somebody similar did a study on our system, they would more than likely find out the same thing. So I would be all for change, and because I've heard the Chief Minister on the island saying it's unsustainable to continue spending this amount of money. I think he did say, not to paraphrase completely, but he has said that the Manx Care gets more money than ever, and they've had huge rises in the last couple of years. And yet we, the public, are not seeing this happen. I meet people along my life who've said, "Oh yes, we've had an extension of our appointment time. Yes, we're still waiting for this operation and that." So although they have had more money, it doesn't seem to be seeing an improvement in outcomes. After all, that's really what we're talking about, is the outcomes for the patient.
And the most important people in the equation, Stephen, are the patient. I mean, it's
absolutely.
The patient. And they can call them customers or clients or what have you, but it's the patient, surely.
Absolutely, and it's the patient who they say is not getting the better outcomes. This report that's been done has said that the outcomes that Andrew Lawnsley wanted to introduce haven't came forward. All we've done is created a greater bureaucracy to run it, and it's time to call it a day and say no. Well, I wonder, should we do that early here on the island, and rather than let it run for another 5 years of no improvement, and then decide, yes, we're going to do what they've done in the UK, and that is to stop having the duplication of the two operations, Manx Care and the department.
Okay, all right. Well, the story will run. Appreciate that, Stephen. Thanks for calling. 24 minutes before 1, Manx Care was established in April 2021 by the government on the Isle of Man, an arm's-length organisation established to focus on delivery of health and social care of the Isle of Man. This followed the Sir Jonathan Michael report. So DHSC remains responsible for strategy, planning, policy and regulation, and Manx Care does the day-to-day stuff. Well, what do you think?
It's Magical March at the Empress with an array of fantastic events. On Friday the 21st, you'll love the Greatest Showman tribute. And on Saturday the 22nd, it's Musical Magic, both with welcome drink, 3-course carvery and fabulous entertainment. Book a table of 10 and get 1 free place. For information, bookings and more great events, call 661155 or visit theempresshotel.net.
When you save a little money, it means a lot these days.
If you're looking for bathrooms and tiles, you'll always find something new in store at Pacesetter. For surprisingly affordable prices and excellent choice, search online for Pacesetter Douglas. Or better still, visit the Pacesetter Bathroom and Tile Showroom on Harris Terrace and see the new styles in store.
You can get the best of everything, where the price is twice as nice.
Manx Radio is the #1 choice of listeners aged over 35 on the Isle of Man. We lead the way in connecting brands with Manx Radio's engaged and loyal audience. And our breakfast show attracts 71% more listeners than any other station. So if you want to boost your brand with tailored advertising that really works, then call 682 620 or email sales@manxradio.com. Help your business reach new heights today with Manx Radio.
New View is a charity that provides a safe and supportive environment for individuals to better their mental health and well-being and begin to live a more content and fulfilled life. New View aims to support and aid people who are experiencing difficulties with mental health and many other complex life challenges, supporting a journey of positive personal change through recovery, rehabilitation and reintegration into society. Find out more about the charity's work on Perspective this Sunday at 12 noon on Manx Radio with me, Phil Gaughan. Building strong and supportive communities feels a bit like rediscovering the good bits of our island's past.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Daphne dropped me a note. Those who are going to drive not according to the conditions will do whatever the speed limit. We were taught to drive according to the conditions. If Michelle Haywood wants to dictate how we drive, say bye-bye to many of the TT and MGP fans that travel over here every year. She needs to stop treating the population of the Isle of Man as uneducated children, and she should have more respect for us all. That's Daphne's opinion about this blanket 20 mile per hour limit. Have you got any thoughts on it? David's with us now. Hi, David.
Hi, Randy. Just quickly, I did hear a rumour on the news lines there that they were going to charge for freedom of information requests from central government.
To charge?
Charge for it. And I've looked for it again, and it's disappeared into the mists. And I just wonder whether our colleagues who have just been on before there, I thought they would have been onto this straight away, because the problem we've got is that some of the civil servants are great and some of them are not, and they always quote that you've got to do a freedom of information request when you want some simple information on, say, how many camper vans are on the island. And just thank Rob yesterday for when he sends that information. I've had that many people been on to me about camper vans from different areas, and I'll just say to them, if I can't go back to everybody there. The local authority election's going to be on now. You've still got time. You've got a week there to get into all the local authorities and saying, what are we going to do as a collective organisation like the Municipal Association? If the government can't do the legislation, we should do something and put some alternatives together. And I'll just quantify that by, remember Jeff Robinson having a discussion or a consultation with local authorities?
Yeah, there was going to be. Did that ever happen?
No, it didn't. And we haven't had the answer, good, bad or indifferent.
Jeff Robinson, by the way, he's the Director of Highways, isn't he?
Yeah. And good, bad and indifferent, I can say like for the fact, I rang up yesterday our local authority and asked the clerk, have we had any concept or designs for the 20 mile an hour zone in the village? Now, I would support it, but wouldn't you think if a local authority is going to, people are asking questions now, where's it going to be? Are we going to have those huge boxes all over the place? She hasn't consulted, or her department hasn't consulted with the local authority. Do you think that's remiss of her?
With Onken? Not spoken to Onken?
No. We've seen nothing. I asked for, we had a plan from the DOI. Where's it going to be? Is it going to go all the way from, say, Governor's Dip out to... Because Onken finishes at the Fun Barn out near Lonnon there. So what's going to happen? And it's a bit embarrassing to me when I like to know the information and we could quote back to people to say, this is going to happen. I support it, actually, but it has to complement it by having some extra things to take the traffic away from the centre of Onken by using the coast road or maybe trimming Signpost Corner. I've always advocated to have another lane put in there. And there is the visual display on Blackberry Lane coming up to the top there. It needs to be trimmed and it would be a lot better. Mm-hmm. So the other question I did ask Andy too is regarding these flashing things comes up. She mentioned about a smiley face or something like that. But we have ones that repeat that you're over the speed limit and give you an idea. But we don't have any calculations on them. How many did 30? How many did 60? How many did 90? So the pole flashing on and off telling what the speed is only telling the driver as you're passing through.
So that doesn't collect data at all?
Doesn't collect data. The one in Onken on the White Bridge there, or going out towards Onken there, towards the White Bridge anyway, doesn't collect any data. I did ask the question on that. But it seems strange to me that, we're getting these diktats and we got Friday's the big day, all the local authorities are meeting in Onken, 2 o'clock. I can't be there, but the chairman will be there and the vice chair from Onken, and all the people will be talking about the local government bill. Yeah. I've not met any local politician at the minute, from Peel all the way through to Andreas and stuff like that, is supporting Mr. Hooper. What is he up to?
Okay. All right, Dave. Appreciate it. Thanks for calling today. It's 17 minutes before 1. Text to 495, Andy. Douglas Council have got at least 6 vacant properties on Marathon Drive. They've been vacant for a while now. Surely that's disgraceful. The Safe Zones and Access to Public Spaces Bill's already passed its second reading, says 572 in the House of Keys. This could have serious consequences for our rights and freedoms, giving wide sweeping powers to the Department of Health to shut down areas without even having to consult with people. It may affect without informing the public that this is going through Parliament before waiting for the results of the public consultation. Tells us all we need to know about democracy. That's the view of 572. The arm's length health operation has certainly kept healthcare at arm's length, says 376. And Rob Callister's right regarding empty properties. Make it more expensive to keep them empty. I don't understand why people leave properties to become dilapidated. Once a property's been empty for 10 years, I think, says 068, it should be compulsorily purchased. 10 years is long enough for anybody to decide what to do with the property or settle a dispute. Michael District Commissioners have described a decision to introduce a blanket 20 mile per hour speed limit to residential areas as using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. The proposals have divided the public after the scheme was recently started in Port St Mary. Well, the Infrastructure Minister, Michelle Haywood, MHK, of course her constituency, faced questions in Keys this week about the cost of the initiative and whether or not it's got the backing of local authorities.
The overall estimated cost for the work in Port St Mary was £15,000, including labour and materials. The department's primary initiative for introducing residential 20 miles an hour speed limits is to realise the wider community-based benefits, including safer and more community-friendly streets and long-term health, environmental and social goals. Casualty reduction is undoubtedly an underlying benefit of these changes, though. Research has indicated that schemes based on these community benefits are most effective and that these benefits directly align with the objectives of our island plan. In February 2023, Tynwald reaffirmed the default speed limit should be 20 miles an hour in residential areas, with priority placed on reviewing areas directly around schools. So consultations to implement the 20 mile an hour speed limit in Portsmouth Mary have received support from both the local MHKs and the commissioners, who have promoted consultation with their individual constituents and stakeholders as well. In addition, the local school governors have repeatedly requested the implementation of 20 mile an hour speed limit over the years. In fact, I know this because I think I first asked about it some 12 years ago now. And the recent move has been welcomed by the current head teacher of School Follamora. As for where these schemes have gone in, we are measuring speed in the aftermath of putting up signs. We're measuring speed, and I know myself because I made the smiley Sid look sad this morning as I came past it. 1 mile an hour.
Thank you very much.
That was the Minister, Michelle Haywood, MHK. Duncan Livingston is the chair of Michael District Commissioners. Now, Duncan, former police officer, driving instructor by trade. And he says he supports the recent change in Portsmouth Mary and agrees that 20 mile per hour limits past schools are appropriate at relevant times. But Duncan Livingston says the wider proposals are draconian, unenforceable and unpopular, and not what the local population wants.
Within Kirkmichael, there are areas which are 20 miles an hour. All the side roads are 20 mile an hour zones, and there's definitely a place for 20 mile an hour zones. Certainly my concern, and I've spoken to other driving instructors, the concern is it's going to have a knock-on effect of the standard of students, because they're going to be driving around in second gear at 20 miles an hour. How is that preparing them for the Manx roads and for roads potentially across? We don't know if there's been discussions with the driving test examiners. Is it going to have a knock-on effect to how long the driving tests are going to take? Is it going to mean that the driving tests are not going to cover so much to allow the driving test examiners to get back? And then, with my final hat on, I'm a retired police officer. I spent 19 years in the traffic department on the Isle of Man. I've dealt with many, many fatal accidents, serious accidents, and there are idiots about, and it's normally idiot driving who, yes, they do drive too quickly, but it's driving inappropriately for the conditions, and I don't think a blanket speed limit is the answer.
Chair of Michael District Commissioners, Duncan Livingston, talking about the 20 mile per hour zones. DOI has been approached for comment. We haven't had anything back yet. The public petition calling for the department's plans to be halted has now topped more than 2,000 signatures. You can see it at manxradio.com. DOI has previously said the vast majority of link roads will remain unaffected and no new traffic calming measures will be implemented. It believes the introduction of zones will lead to, quote, safer and more pleasant neighbourhoods.
Grill, bake, steam, boil, stir fry, simmer, fry, roast, slow cook, griddle, toast. An Aga can do it all. An Aga isn't just an amazing cooker, it's a way of life. Aga specialist Haldane Fisher can recommend an Aga for every home. Call in store and discover the range and join thousands of owners who love coming home to Aga's warmth, style and practicality. Haldane Fisher for Aga, home to great cooking.
Spectrum Windows. If your house needs a new look and your windows let in rain, keep those cold breezes out and make it look like new again. Spectrum Windows, Spectrum Windows. Quality through and through. Great work guaranteed to you. Spectrum Windows, Spectrum Windows. Spectrum Windows. Isle of Man Railways.
Get your tickets now for this season's range of onboard dining events featuring old favourites like the legendary Pie and Mash Train, the Curry Club and more, including memorable dining experiences on one of our Steam theme events with something for everyone. To find out what's cooking on the dining car or to book, call 697 457 or visit rail.im.
Isle of Man Railways.
It's a double header of action for FC Isle of Man this weekend with 2 games in less than 24 hours at the Bowl. On Saturday, the Ravens face Pilkington at the earlier time of 3 p.m. before taking on Prestwich Hayes in a rearranged tie on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Join me, Rob Pritchard and Darren Timpson for FC Isle of Man versus Pilkington at 3 p.m. on Saturday and FC Isle of Man versus Prestwich Hayes at 11 a.m. on Sunday. Manx Radio will be bringing you full live match commentary on our DAB and AM 1368 channels. Live coverage of FC Isle of Man on Manx Radio is supported by Selton, investing in our community.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
10 to 1, Thursday lunchtime on the Isle of Man. It's a gorgeous day. Mike's with us. Hi, Mike.
Hello, Andy. About the 20 mile an hour speed limit.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, I will say, when I was younger, I sped everywhere. There was no speed limit anywhere. And it was a major accident on the council estate I lived on, where 4 young kids got killed, that slowed me down. I was 25 then. I'm now 64. So, and I still use speed on the open road, but I religiously try and keep to 30 and 40 residential speed limits. And the 20 mile an hour when you're going past the schools and everything. Now, I've found that if I'm doing 20 mile an hour past the school, I've got people right up behind me trying to push me along. And the ones in front are disappearing most of the time. People already break the 30 mile an hour limits. A lot of people do. I see it regularly because I'm holding people up. So if they're going to break the 30 mile an hour limit, they're going to break a 20 mile an hour limit. So it's a waste of time in that respect. If you're going to do that, you're going to have to police it, which either means taking the police away from other work, or you're going to have cameras. Now, cameras in the UK has been proven that they actually increase the accident rate. I used to live just outside of Swindon, and one of their mayors took out the speed cameras because he didn't want to send the money to central government because their council were getting no benefit from it. And they found that the accident rate decreased. Now, the government were obviously very upset about losing the revenue, and they said, you've got to put it back. Well, the second, and it's just an anomaly that the accident rate's gone down. But the next year it went down again and again until it reached the same levels as before the cameras went in.
Right.
And 15 years on at least, there's still no speed cameras in the Swindon area because they actually increase accidents. That's my point on it.
Do you think 20 mile an hour limits should be anywhere, perhaps on built-up areas in housing estates?
It would have to be on a case-by-case. In certain cases, yes. But, like, if I come down through Boyley Spittal, I live in Peel, you'd be stupid to do over 20 anyway. Because there's kids there, there's so many cars parked in there, it's narrow. 20 mile an hour is fast anyway through there. But also the other thing that some people have already mentioned is that if you're going at 20 mile an hour, you're going to have to go down another gear. Now, when you lower the ratio, it picks up a lot easier. So you've got to be looking at the clock all the time instead of where you're going. And even on my big motorbike, I've got several, if you just touch that throttle, and I have to use second gear as it is already to do 30, it leaps forward. It's 20 years old. I class as a modern motorbike. It's fuel injected, all the rest of it. But it is very hard to maintain 30, let alone 20, if I've got to go down to first gear.
So what's your message to the politicians who want to introduce this?
Basically, it's the speed limit won't cure it. All you do is generate revenue if you police it. It's education. Like I say, 4 kids were decapitated by a car where I used to live in the mid-80s. And I used to do upwards of 40 mile an hour through the trading estate going home. not trading estate, the council estate, where I lived, and I had a young child. When those 4 kids got killed by a bloke who was already banned, and a car with no MOT, no tax, no insurance, and the car went up the bank, the 4 kids were sat on a park bench, and the front of the car decapitated the kids, and the rear of it held them down. And it was a real shock to my system. And that's why even I'm going out with friends, if they speed through 30, I just let them go. Because I try my hardest. Because they are there for a reason in that area. I think there's certain limits that are not required on quieter roads. But it's education. It's only education. Because when you're young, you don't care. You're invincible. And you're God's gift. And as you get older, there's a lot of people still think they're God's gift. It's education. That's what's needed.
I appreciate that. Thanks for calling today.
Cheers now.
Good to hear from you. It's 4 minutes before 1. What are your thoughts on this? You can call the answer phone on 682-631. Drop me a note at manninline@manxradio.com. David was mentioning earlier on this local government amendment bill 2023, which is giving local authority members pause for thought, shall we say. Well, next Tuesday, the chair of Ramsey Town Commissioners, Rob Cowell, is on Mannin Line. Now, Rob is not only chair of the commissioners, so he'll have something to say about the local government amendment bill, but he's also on the Northern Civic Amenity Site Joint Committee. So perhaps he's got some good news about the Northern Tip. So that's next Tuesday. Rob Cowell, chair of Ramsey Town Commissioners. Week after that, the Cabinet Office Ministers in David Ashford, MHK. By the way, have you prepared for the spring equinox? Falls on March the 20th. That's a week today, when the whole world shares 12 hours day and 12 hours night. All ready for it? A week today, the spring equinox. 20-mile-an-hour zones, to me, seem to be part of a green war on motorists, says Alan. Well, that's it. Back tomorrow with another open line. Thanks to Chris on the phones today. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. It's a gorgeous day.
WINT